Hello everyone, welcome back to Everything Swift. Today we'll be tackling LeetCode question 75 titled Sort Colors. We're given a nums array here, which is of type integer array, and we're basically, our task today is just to sort the array. But we are not allowed to use the library sort function, and we have to do that in place. So that's the constraint for this question. Essentially, this question is basically having three integer 0, 1, 2, and they are actually representing colors, which is 0 is red, 1 is white, and 2 is blue, right? So if we take a look at this example here, it's pretty clear what we need to do today, right? We're given this array originally, which is the nums array, and is obviously unsorted here. And what we are trying to do is get to this output here. As you can see here, is arranged in an ascending order, right? So on first glance, if there was no constraint given to us, like you must first solve this problem without using the library sort function, basically it's pretty easy that we can just use just call sort function and we can call it a day. But obviously that's the constraint. So how do we try and solve this without using the library sort function, right? So the strategy that I'm thinking of is basically uh, we can use a starting pointer and ending pointer, and at each iteration we're going to check if what is the value at each index, right? So for instance, like we can check like numbers at starting pointer. Is it 0? No, it's not. So this numbers happens to be 2, and we know that 2 has to be at the end, right? Because we want to achieve 0, 1, and 2 eventually, right? So at any point in time that we see number 2, we're going to remove this number and actually move it to the end. So we're going to append it to the end. So 2 will transfer to here, right? And then the same thing for 0. We're going to ask, is this number 0? Yes, it is. And is it at the beginning index? No, it's not. We're going to remove this number and shift it to the beginning, right? So 0 will be always set to the beginning of the array, and 2 will be set to the end, right? And that's all we have to do because we are conveniently just given like three numbers here, which is 0, 1, and 2. And that's the reason why I think the start and ending pointer strategy here would work, because anytime when we see number 1 and it is not at index 0 or at the ending index, we know that it should be in the correct position, because we are just gonna shift the 0 and 2 to the beginning and ending respectively, and 1 should not have to move if it's not if it's in the middle basically, right? So no, it's a little bit hard to imagine right now, so I'm just going to jump straight into the code and hopefully you guys can understand what I just explained. So over here, what we're going to do, as always, just some fast improvement here. I'm just going to check if it's empty. If it's empty, basically there's no colors to be sorted. We can just exit out from this function, right? And what we're going to do here is that, as I mentioned, we're going to use a starting and ending pointer mechanism, so or two pointer mechanism. So I'm just going to do var start and var end, which is nums.count minus 1, right? Minus 1 because we're dealing with index. And then here, what we can do is do a while loop, start and ending. Start pointer will loop all the way to end pointer. Um, so the first thing we're going to check is if nums or start. Uh, well, maybe we will just do if start is bigger than 0 and nums or start equals to 0, right? So basically we know that this number is not at the beginning pointer. If it is, basically we need to remove this and start, and basically uh, insert this, insert 0 and 0, right? And once we do that, we have to remember to move our start pointer, right? Because we already filled this, remove this particular number and fill it at the beginning, so we want to collapse the starting and ending pointer. And in this case, since we add it to the front of the array, so we're gonna move the starting pointer to the next index, right? And then the next thing here is else if start is less than n, and nums of n, nums of start, sorry, equals to 2, right? So what happens if we look through and then we found the number 2? Well, we basically have to move it to the end, right? So nums remove at start, and then nums append 2, right? So basically we're just removing that particular value at that particular index and then move it to the end of the array by doing appending, right? So once we do that, we have to decrement n because we move the number to the end, and we're trying to collapse the starting and ending pointer, right? So here is where we advance start, and here is when we uh, subtract n from the end, right? And then the last case is basically dealing with number one, right? So because of this if and else if statement here, we're basically checking for technically the middle numbers that we have seen. So if it doesn't get caught by this if or else if statement, is basically referring to the number one, right? And in that case, one should be in the middle, as we can see from this output here. So we just gonna move the starting pointer because there's no operation needed. And I think that's about it. We don't have to return any numbers or updated numbers because this is declared as in out, so we can manipulate the numbers parameter here directly. And I think that should be it, right? So let's just go ahead and run this, and hopefully we got it right. There we go, looks good. Let's try and submit this. And there we have it. That is the answer for this solution. So we are using the starting and ending pointer concept here. We're just collapsing throughout the array while we are doing this while loop iteration. At every point in time, we're just checking if number is 0 or 2. If it's 0, we basically just move it to the beginning of the array, and if it's number 2, we basically move it to the end. Um, and yeah, so basically that is the solution for this question. As always, if you guys enjoy this kind of video or find this video helpful, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. It really helps me to grow, and I'm going to do more of this kind of videos in the future. So thank you very much for your time, and take care. Bye bye.